Hi, I'm Ed, and that's not a 22, this is a 22. Alright, so what we have here is the Remington 572 Fieldmaster. Pump action, fucking just a fun little rifle. What are we going to say about this gun? It's fun. I got sidetracked because there's a massive fucking line on my barrel from my slide that I didn't realise was there. So there you go, first critique. You get barrel wear from your slide. No one needs that. Alright, so from the back to the front. Look, very nice, very nice actually, stock. I did not expect the wood to be actually this nice. It's really well polished. The engravings on it, everything is just, it's well made. I'll give it that much. It's well made. It's fairly heavy. It fucking feels like a rifle. It doesn't feel like you're shooting a little 22. It has some weight to it. I'll flash the weight of it up right there. So, moving forward to the receiver. Alright, you can notice first off the bat, what does it look like to you? If you know Remington, you know it probably looks like an 870 shotgun. That's what they modelled it off from what I've been told. When the 870 came out in the 50s, they went, hey, Dad can buy an 870, it's a 12 gauge, it's sick, and the kids can have a 22 of the same fucking thing. I believe that's, from what I've read, that's the case of why they came out with this. Obviously, this is a slightly later model. The earlier models would have had the straight lined foregrip, much like the shotgun at the time. You get the point. All right, receiver. Obviously, very small ejection port. You've got a 11mm, 11mm dovetail on top. Trigger group fits in the bottom, can actually be pushed out. I'll do a strip and assemble video at some point. You pop those two pins out and you can pull the whole trigger group out and clean it. It's anodized aluminium, so not very heavy because it's not steel. The anodizing does come off very easily though, so you've got to look after it. Don't fuck around with it. Don't drop it. You've already seen I've only had this for a while, and there's already a little nick on the side there. There's that. So look after it. If you're throwing your guns around, maybe you shouldn't have guns. Safety is down here. It's the same as pretty much every other Remington safety on these types and shotguns. Red is dead. It'll pop out. See the red? Make it dead. Push the safety. It's going to pop back through on the other side. No colour on that, just a straight safety. Trigger's quite nice. On this side, you have your action lock. So, it's been decocked. Well, sorry, it hasn't been decocked. The slide's forward, and it's locked. So it is locked until the action is fired. However, don't dry fire a fucking rim fire. So, when I first bought this, funny story. When I first bought this, which was not that long ago, took it out for the first time, it was kept on having this weird firing. Sometimes the rounds weren't firing. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I thought the rounds were shit. Looked at the cart cases and they'd been fucking very softly struck, and it was a very weird, odd shape. Looked at the firing pin and realised it had been snapped. What I believe had happened was potentially in the gun shop, people had been dry firing it, just like, oh, that's cool, yeah, dry fire it. But because it's rim fire, firing pin's going to slide forward, which is a sliding firing pin, mind you. Getting hit by the hammer, coming forward, smacking the side of the chamber, and damaged the firing pin. There wasn't much of a drama. It was just fucking annoying. Took it out of the gun shop. They sent it off to Remington, went down, or well, whoever the fuck it was, sent it down to some cunt in Dandenong. They fixed the firing pin and sent it back. While we're on the topic of things that were fucked with this rifle when I bought it, was this screw under here, just here, this little cunt here. All right, that's your one of your takedown screws. You take that one out and you take this one out the side, and you can pop the whole tube, barrel, and slide off the receiver so you can do your servicing. Obviously, it's supposed to sit flush. Wasn't sitting flush. There's a bush on the inside it's supposed to screw into, which is pressed into the receiver. Wasn't pressed in straight. It was on an angle, so therefore the screw was screwed in straight with the bush, but not straight with the receiver, and was gouging up the underside of my slide. So my slide now has a nice little gouge out of it, which, thank you very much, Remington. But that's the only dramas I had with it. Pretty good. All right, so going back. cannot be cocked, right? So, got this release here. The same as an 870 shotgun, and 7615s and 7600s, all that. You're going to push in, and that will allow you to open the action. All right, so it is what it is. You would open it like that, slide back forward, you would be chambered, and then you would crack on. All right, moving on with the rest of the rifle. Obviously, serial number and name and everything is printed on the left-hand side of the receiver. Barrel, all right, rear sight is a bit of a weird one to adjust. You do have windage adjustment, which is good. Did have to adjust mine because mine was shooting slightly left out of the box. You can adjust the length. Mine's 0 to 25. I don't know what the fuck the notches are supposed to be. It didn't say. Maybe if I read the manual, but I didn't. So mine's on the... You've got notches of every 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every 5 you have a big notch. And the 3 in between are small notches. This one's on the 4th notch. So the first big one, it starts on small notch, small notch, small notch. It's on the 4th one, and that's 0 to 25 meters. So it would, fuck, if that's 25, that would make that 30. Fuck, it'd go up to 70. Who the fuck fires iron sights that far? Unless you fucking Hickok 45. I'm not hitting a target that fucking far away with iron sights because I'm not that good. Alright, moving on. As I said before, has this scraping mark on the bluing, which is kind of fucking annoying, which means my slide is hitting that. As you can see, this slide rattles around a little bit. So it's not as sturdy as I would like. Maybe I need to start looking at all my screws. Maybe they're a bit loose from when they fixed it. On the barrel, you've got all your information here. So, Remington Arms Company Incorporated, Illinois. No, wherever the fuck it's made, New York State, whatever, can't bite me. Alright, has 3 interchangeable ammunitions you can fire out of this one gun. So 22 short, 22 long, and 22 long rifle. Completely interchangeable, it all fits. Blue barrel moving down, foresight. Actually, I just remembered, after we finished firing this, and we put 60 rounds, I believe it was, 50 or 60 through it. This foresight was actually loose. There's 2 slotted screws there, had to tighten them down. So if you get one of these, just be aware that can happen. Kind of caught me off guard when I put it in the gun bag and it nearly fell off. Tube mag down here, and obviously your band. And that's the rifle. It's pretty good. Let's talk about how to load it. So we are on safe. You have to load it with the slide forward. Don't do what my mate Danny did a couple of times and attempt to load it with the slide cocked rearwards, because you will not fit the full amount of rounds in there, and then it just turns everything into a fuck fight. So apply safe, slide forward, and then to load, we're going to turn this and pop our inner tube out of our outer tube. On the bottom of the outer tube, we have this aperture here. Got 2 dummy rounds here just to demonstrate this. All right, so sit in like that. Hold the gun on 45, it'll slide all the way down to the bottom to the stopper. You put all your rounds in. Now, I believe they're supposed to take 10 rounds, but you might be able to fit a couple more in there. All right, so we slide that all the way down, and then we're going to lock that off. What happens is the rounds end up inside the brass tube, so inside the inner tube, the outer tube, which is the protector and what holds it. And now that's all ready to go. Obviously, you can't cock it because it's locked, so you press your little fucking action release and cock it. Now we're cocked, then you would be ready to go. Obviously, take the safety off, and you're ready to fire.
You might get that on.
Now, dramas with this. Obviously, apart from the manufacturing dramas, which I've already outlined, which kind of fucking annoyed me, especially considering I paid $1,500 and something or other dollars for it. Brand new, and you would think that those would not be issues. However, they were. Maybe this one was just the dodgy one. Maybe it was made on a Monday or potentially a Friday afternoon. The only dramas I had with this shooting, every round was shoot straight, it's fucking accurate. Are they even fucking hitting?
Is it hitting? I don't even know.
What are you shooting at?
Oh,
Sometimes, if cocking in a hurry, I would short stroke it. So either I wouldn't cock it back far enough and eject, because if the round doesn't go all the way to the rear, it will not eject, it will stay on the bolt. So if you short stroke it on rearwards, you can always go back to the front and cock it again. That's a bit confusing, rearwards back to the front. If you don't cock it far enough, and it doesn't eject, put the slide all the way forward and cock it again, it'll eject. But then you can also short stroke on chambering, so you can go not all the way forward, and then obviously your gun will not fire. So that was the only actual dramas I had shooting the weapon, was me being a retard and short stroking the action. So don't be a fuckhead and don't do that. Bag off. It's ridiculous. Come on, come on.
took them both.
Yeah, fucker.
We'll be able to see if he hit the dot.
I'll fucking hit your dot.
That's what I want, some feedback. Get some water bottles out there.
Right, so that's the Remington 572. What can I say? It's fun. It's 22, right? So it's cheap. You can fire a fuckload of it. It's quiet. It takes 3 different types of 22. You can literally just go and grab any fucking 22 unless it's like something ridiculous like a Magnum. Fire it, and you're gonna have a good time. It's pump action, so who the fuck doesn't like a pump action? Like, if you don't like a pump action, you're probably fucked in the head. Obviously, the only dramas you can have is if you short stroke, so fails to eject, fails to chamber properly, etc., etc. Look, I like it. I think it's pretty cool. Obviously, did have those malfunctions, did have those, I should say, defects from this particular gun. Obviously, that's not a common thing. That's just this one particularly. It was probably dropped like a baby. And, right, so, well, what can I say? That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, I'll catch you fuckers, and hooroo.